office.
Peter doesn't have
Right
a
between-
Oh, is it all inside?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that, sorry.
that's all right.
Okay.
Michael,
I've got it.
Peter, maybe you could stop into Handle Financial and get your sheet.
Okay.
Sean's got them there.
Okay, I can figure out part of it.
Or just get it Saturday.
Welcome everyone to this meeting of Smith Falls Town Council for Tuesday, February 16th, 2025. On February 18th, 2025, we acknowledge that the sacred land where Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. Motion for approval of the agenda is with Councillor Quinn, please.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that the February 18th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Quinn, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that the February 18th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Ask for disclosure of pecuniary interest and or conflict of interest in general nature thereof. Seeing none, our motion for approval of the minutes is with Councillor Robinson, please.
Thanks, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Quinn, that the minutes of February 3rd, 2025 council meetings be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Quinn, that the minutes of the February 3rd, 2025 council meeting be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Council reports and updates. Looking for reports, starting with Councillor McGuire, please.
Thank you, Worship. The Municipal Heritage Committee met last week. We had a great presentation from Stantec about the Heritage Conservation District. We're continuing to discuss the boundaries, following up on the conversation from Committee of the Whole a few weeks ago, or a couple months. I don't know how long it was anymore from the last discussion. So it was really good to hear that they're still working on that, and we're going to expect to see more public consultation as they come in on the plan. We also had a Police Services Board meeting last week with, sorry, I lost my notes here before I went into this. Which was, it was actually kind of a nice Police Services Board meeting because with all the business we've had over the last year or so with the new act and the hiring and everything else, it was a relatively quick meeting. The manager's report can be found online, but the numbers are relatively in the same range that they've been in for the last little bit. And
Other than traffic enforcement, which
traffic
numbers are up.
Okay.
Which I guess if you're caught, it's not so good, but for traffic calming, it's good.
Yes, and I believe this month's target is it winter driving? Clear off your car?
I think so, yeah.
I might be wrong. That might
It
have been
would be
last
relevant to the last few days.
Sorry, I lost my notes for that one. And the other one was it's not my area, but it was really great to attend the DBA annual general meeting last week. What they're doing to see their financials and to see the impact that it's had was really impressive as an outsider. So I'd just like to thank everybody that was involved in that for letting me attend.
Thank you. Ms. McKenna, anything this week? No? Yes, Miller.
Full reports, thank you. So with Councillor McGuire and Councillor Quinn, I attended the Downtown Business Association AGM. Thank you so much for being there. I know the businesses appreciated both of you coming as well. And I just wanted to thank their board and their manager and their volunteers. They summed up their year, and it was just hard to believe all the great things that they did, and they're planning ahead for 2025. So doing a great job. They did express some concern about the growing number of vacant storefronts downtown, and so I look forward to our business retention and expansion plan, and hopefully we have a way to help address that. I attended a steering committee meeting with Mayor Panko for the Falls Food Hub, and they're preparing an RFP for the renovation work for their new space on Chambers Street. I know we're all excited to see that get started. Their Monday lunches continue to be very well attended at Hanley Hall. Their Sens hockey game, for those of us that went really well. They raised $13,500 for their food programs, so that was excellent work. And finally, at the Chamber Board meeting this month, I attended with Councillor Robinson. Their manager announced several upcoming events, including a Yuck Yucks Comedy Night, March 7th at the Tap Room, and an all candidates meeting this Friday at 6 p.m. at Masonic Lodge. And you can see that information on their website or on their Facebook page.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn, no reports? I have no reports myself. I have a couple of, I guess, mayor's announcements, and really just relate to the loss of two incredible leaders in our community in the last couple of weeks or so far in February. Of course, many people have already heard, of course, the loss of former police chief Bill Stalker. Our police chief from served with our chief of police until his retirement in 1990, 37 years of policing, appointed deputy chief in 69, chief of police in 1975, and until 1990. Chief Stalker was known certainly as probably not a typical policeman. He's a very kind policeman, a great leader for our police service. He's survived by his wife Giselle, 68 years, his daughter Deborah, daughter Linda, her husband Ward, and son Randy, grandson Michael Palmer, great granddaughter. But he was born and raised in Perth, and many of us didn't know, but he was a great athlete, which would not be certainly an impressive individual. He won the John McLeod Hogg Scholarship Award as the best student who best exemplified the characteristics of leadership, loyalty, integrity, and interest in athletics and literature, and went on to join the RCMP. And in those days, you had to commit to 5 years in the RCMP before you could think about getting married. Well, he was home one time and happened to meet Giselle Florent and at a local dance, returned to Regina. I guess they kept in touch, and he left after 2 years so he could move back here and marry his bride, the woman he loved so much, and became a constable of the Smith Falls Police Department in 1956. And of course, progressed through the ranks, being promoted to sergeant in 59, and then, as I mentioned, deputy chief in 69, and chief in 1975 until he retired in 1990, 37 total years. So very, athletic, very active individual, even through retirement. Very much dedicated to his community. The last few years of his life, he struggled with some heart disease, of course, and passed away on February 6th at the age of 91. So incredible commitment and service to our community. And the second one I just heard of this afternoon was the Honorable Mike Quigley. And Mike Quigley passed away on Sunday. His home surrounded by his daughters. Like all truly great Irish storytellers, according to his obituary here, of course, Mike knew when it was time to wrap up a good story and then to keep it going a little bit longer just because. And the hearts of his family and friends are broken, but his heart belongs with his wife of 53 years, the love of his life, Anne, who had predeceased him. Mike grew up on a farm in Stanleyville, obtained his BA in Loyola College in Montreal and his law degree from the University of Ottawa, practiced law in Smith Falls for 31 years before his appointment to the Superior Court of Ontario as a justice in 2001. Administrative judge for Pembroke and then Brockville and Perth before his retirement. And he said he indicated he loved every second of his work, never truly forgot what a privilege it was to serve as a judge. And many of us around this horseshoe experienced going through our swearing-in ceremonies with Chief Quigley, Justice Quigley. I certainly know in 2010, I think 2014, he was here to swear us in, of course, in the old chambers. He did not want his obituary to focus on his work accomplishments. He felt that his amazing wife, his children, his grandchildren, his friends were his true measure of his worth. The outpouring of love he was received in his final days has demonstrated his success in life. He ran a successful law practice, was granted King's Counsel designation in 1982, was a former president of the Leonard Law Association, Parents Council of the Regional Center, former drug prosecutor, and of course, a very successful judge. And throughout his years, he amassed friends from all walks of life. And anyone who knew him, he was a genuine listener, loved to collect the stories of every single person he met. He was fascinated by people and cherished their life stories. Once a bond was formed with someone, Mike could identify the special qualities of the person, encourage them to recognize it in themselves, and then broadcast it to others. He had many interests in life, which he pursued with passion, golf being one, and for an individual who had 4 holes in one in his lifetime, obviously he was a great student of the game and really accomplished. Leaves behind his 2 loving daughters, Katie and Beth, and 4 grandchildren. Also leaves behind a younger sister, Helen. and sisters-in-law Wynn Turner, Marion Rutherford, brother-in-law Doug Nobes. He was very much a committed Catholic, and life guided by his faith in God, and his service will be held Friday at Blair and Sons Funeral Home in Smiths Falls from 2 to 4 and 6 to 8. Funeral Mass will be celebrated at St. Francis. That's 11 o'clock on Saturday. So a very unfortunate, significant loss to our community with two great leaders in different ways, but both probably intertwined much through their professional lives. And I have one proclamation to make, and that is Pink Shirt Day, February 26, 2025. Whereas Pink Shirt Day is observed annually on the last Wednesday of February to raise awareness of anti-bullying efforts while calling attention to the prevalence of bullying in our communities. Whereas Pink Shirt Day was inspired by two high school students in Nova Scotia who distributed pink shirts at their school as a show of support for another student who was being bullied for wearing a pink shirt. Whereas today, Pink Shirt Day has become a global anti-bullying movement. It reminds us that simple acts of kindness can lead to change on a larger scale. Where the town of Smiths Falls is committed to fostering community safety and well-being for all residents through the promotion of anti-bullying campaigns and by collectively coming together to denounce bullying in all its forms, we can help bring bullying to an end. Now, therefore, be resolved, I, Mayor Sean Pankel, do hereby proclaim February 26, 2025 as Pink Shirt Day in the town of Smiths Falls. And before we move on, I just want to go back to Councillor Brennan, recognizing Councillor Brennan and Justice Quayle neighbors. Had a great bond, and Councillor Brennan, I'm sure you must have some fond memories and things to say about this.
I do. I had a report too.
Okay.
But I'll do that first, and then I think you did really well. Yeah.
I apologize. Apologies for missing you.
I'm up in the sky. I just want to say that on February 5th, I met with the Hall of Fame committee and the Hall of Fame up in the arena. So just to let everyone know that on August 3rd, and that's during Old Home Week, they'll have their ceremony at 1:30. So there'll be more names coming forward. They'll announce who it is. They have two places they can commemorate the recreational spots in our history. And as well, I will mention that they're accepting nominations at any time for the Hall of Fame. So I just want to put that out there. And I think that you've summed up Mike's life very well. He's such a great man. He was a neighbor of mine, and I went to him all the time for advice, and he helped me with personal matters a number of times as well. He was a great man. I think that people in town will know what he's done, although he didn't celebrate it himself. So he'll be missed, and I'm sorry I'm not there for Beth and Katie at this time, but I've communicated with them. But well said, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further comments before we move on? Okay. Consent agenda. Motion is with Councillor McGuire, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that items in consent report number 02-2025 be received from the clerk. Received from the clerk, be received and adopted.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that items in consent report number 02-2025 received from the clerk be received and adopted. Clerk Costello, may you please present the consent agenda?
Thank you, Your Worship. There's one item on the consent agenda this evening, and it's a resolution to formally receive the report that was prepared by Dillon Consulting, the Affordable and Inclusive Housing Plan.
Okay. Anyone like any further discussion on that plan before we present the question? Okay, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And Councillor Brennan, you item 8.1.
Yes, I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that the Integrity Commissioner's report dated January 22nd, 2025 be received, and that this report be posted on the town's website for a 5-year period.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Robinson. This Integrity Commissioner's report, that Integrity Commissioner's report dated January 22nd, 2025 be received. And this report be posted on the town's website for a 5-year period. Discussion, Councillor Brennan, and then
Yes, this report was given to us last week in our committee of full, and Mr. Tony Fleming is our integrity commissioner. He prepared a report on a matter that came before him from us. And so this is legislatively required that we receive it formally and that we post the report on the town's website for 5 years.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn?
I would like to declare a conflict of interest. And so leave the
So noted.
these, both of these motions.
Okay. We refer the motion as presented by Councillor Brandon, second by Councillor Robinson. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. On to item 9.2, Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McGuire, that the Integrity Commissioner's report dated January 22nd, 2025 has been formally received via resolution. And further, that Council, the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls impose a sanction on Councillor Dawn Quinn that would not permit her to participate in the next 10 in-camera sessions.
Discussion, Councillor?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Your Worship. I've had some people reach out to me and I really appreciate that, asking, is this really necessary beyond just receiving the report? So Councillor Quinn and I, along with you, my colleagues, swore an oath when we were elected. Among other things, we swore the oath to uphold the code of conduct. Unlike the rules of courtroom laws, Ontario's municipal councils are held to a different standard in a way that we conduct our business. It's a privilege to serve on council, and the oath that we swore to uphold says that we must not only follow these high standards, but that we must be perceived to be following them. And as we know, our Integrity Commissioner provided an independent review and was asked to look into this breach. The Commissioner's report was made public, and the breach of the Code of Conduct was confirmed by the Commissioner. And the Commissioner felt that Councillor Quinn has been named in the report as the councillor most likely to have leaked the confidential information. This is a very serious breach, and councillors are held accountable for our actions and therefore should be also held accountable and face consequences as a breach of the oath. I take no pleasure, and I'm sure council doesn't either, in addressing this unfortunate situation. But if it was me who would breach our code of conduct, I would expect my colleagues to hold me similarly accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments?
I do.
Okay. Councillor Brennan?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very, very difficult, and I appreciate Councillor McKenna's comments, and I appreciate the report that Mr. Fleming provided us. I'm not going to support sanctions, although I've reflected on this in the past week, and I feel that Mr. Fleming's report did detail a likelihood, but what he did not do, and what I think that maybe would be more helpful, is a recommendation on what we could do, other than leaving it sort of to us to arbitrarily determine what should happen. I think that the publishing of the report and putting it out publicly, I think that that's going to deter any recurrence of this again. And so for that reason, in all good conscience, I'm not going to support sanctions tonight.
Thank you. Anyone further comments?
I just added, I think we should have a recorded vote as well.
Okay, before I call the question, I'll just mention I still support sanctions, and it is, as Councillor McKenna indicated, no one takes pleasure in this. It's in a very unfortunate situation. But at the same time, we're all held to the same standard, and that standard is to protect the interests of the corporation, and a breach of any confidentiality always leaves the corporation at risk. Whether it is a error or a slight or an unintentional comment, regardless, we all have the responsibility to be as cautious as possible and completely, I guess, cautious in retaining confidential information. So I will support the motion tonight, but I have a suspicion that it will not succeed. So as moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor McGuire, the Ontario Commissioner's report dated January 22nd, 2025 has been formally received via resolution for the Council of Corporation of the Town of Smiths Falls impose a sanction on Councillor Dawn Quinn that would not permit her to participate in the next 10 in-camera sessions. In favor?
Recorded vote was.
It was a recorded vote. Oh, sorry, recorded vote requested. Yes, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. If council members could reply with either a yay or a nay to motion 9.2. Councillor Brennan?
Nay.
Councillor Quinn is declared. Councillor Miller?
Nay.
Councillor McKenna?
Yay.
Councillor Robinson?
Nay.
Councillor McGuire?
Yay.
Mayor Panko?
Yay.
Lost.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Councillor Brandon, you have our bylaw. Oh, so we should get Councillor Quinn. I'll get her.
Done.
Did you second that motion?
Okay.
Councillor Brandon?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that a bylaw to adopt estimates of the sums required for municipal purposes for the year 2025 be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brandon, seconded by Councillor Robinson. The bylaw to adopt estimates of the sums required for municipal purposes for the year 2025 be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, please, Councillor Brandon.
Well, it's a real pleasure for me to move this motion for our budget for 2025. And I never thought in my years that I would be proud to approve a budget of a 5.1% increase. And you know, these are different times, and it wouldn't be the first time that I voted against a budget, but I'm not going to this time. I'm happy to move this. And I want to compliment staff to the utmost for coming through with this and the challenges that we face, and yet at the same time getting an unprecedented amount of capital work done for the town. So it's not painful. It is a little painful for our taxpayers, but if we look around our area and the rest of the province, I think we've done an amazing job. And when I say we, I mean staff. You really came through. When we started at 9.6, and you were told, no, you've got to come down 4 more points, and you did. And I don't see a big drop in services for our people, and hopefully we haven't punted too much down the road, but I'm really happy to support this budget, and congratulations to staff. You did all the work.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Quinn, or just thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Councillor McGuire.
Thanks, Your Worship. I appreciate the efforts that staff have put into this. It is a great result to get it to 5%. But my challenge tonight is that there's still untouchable aspects of the budget that I would have liked to have seen us dug into more. The first one's the police budget. We had the option to pick a conciliation option, and that would have given us a third-party opinion on if we've got adequate and effective policing in the town. Because when we have a 20% increase to that budget, the unfortunate reality is that the 5% increase doesn't cover the total cost of the increase to the police budget. So in fact, we're cutting services to maintain our roads. We're cutting money that's going into our parks. And we're going back to a trend that we had over the past 10, 15 years, where when we spend a disproportionate amount of our municipal revenues on policing, we don't have the money for the other services that policing provides. And because of the unprecedented increase in this year's budget, to me, the conciliation option, it's an unprecedented tool, but it's an unprecedented time to use it. Unfortunately, we chose not to use that. The other one for me is we've asked staff multiple times for more information on the economic development and tourism budget. We know that we spend six figures, multiples of six figures more than neighboring municipalities, and we don't have the same level of impact that other municipalities are getting for their spending. And we still don't have those comparators. So I don't have a great understanding of why the value we're getting for that money. I just want to reiterate that, you know, it's great that we've got the growth, and the growth is letting us do this, the tax stabilizations fund. But when we look at the past terms of council that have completed sustainability service reviews, was a really holistic look at staffing levels and service levels and the value they were providing. With the number of staff we're adding in this budget, I'm not arguing that it's not required or that the growth hasn't led us to do it, but I don't know that we've put the same level of, I don't have the same level of understanding right now behind those positions as we did with when you read those sustainability service review reports. So in the future going forward, as we're adding staff, I'd like to have a higher burden of the explanation of the why. So for all these reasons, I think it's great that the number's gotten down to 5%. I really don't like how that is distributed proportionately. When we're, you know, when we've got a 7% increase in policing, it means we've cut everything else by 2%. So I'm not going to support it tonight, but I'm not unhappy with this result. It's just, I think that in the future we need to look at these untouchable areas and give them a little more scrutiny.
Thank you. Any, Councillor McKenna?
Thank you, Your Worship. I too have concerns with in particular, just the cost of our policing service. Terrific service, but at what cost? So I am in support of the budget, but you won't be surprised if at a future meeting I'll be raising this again as a matter to consider council to look at other ways to provide adequate and effective policing. I would just add adequate, effective, and affordable to that cost. But I too congratulate staff on the budget, and I will be supporting it tonight.
Thank you. Okay. Before I call the question, I'll make my own comments. I too will support the budget. I think, like the rest of us, I was very concerned. We're at 9.6. I mean, as much as it would be, that would really meet the needs of the municipality, we recognize it's not supportable for our taxpayers. Getting down to 5, I think, puts us in an area where, as much as we would love to see it lower, I think that's a fair compromise. It enables us to do the things we need to do, provide staff with the operating dollars and the capital dollars to complete the work we need. And if we want to take a look at our comparators and the municipalities all around us and throughout Ontario, we're at the low end of the increases. And it's, I guess, the reality, and I think it was CEO Morris who explained the purpose of the budget process, the inflationary impact on a number of things that we deal with as a municipality is much higher than the standard inflation. And that bears out here. The cost of policing is high. I don't dispute that. As part of the Police Service Board, I support the budget. I support it here. I don't know if there's an opportunity to create savings. I don't think there is at the moment within the service the way we have it. And we want to make sure we are adequately and effectively policed. To Councillor McGuire's comments, I mean, if it wasn't for the growth we've had over the last recent years, especially this year hitting the tax rolls, we wouldn't be in the position we're in. And I think it's over 1.2 million in new tax revenue from new construction that enables us to come in with this increase despite the financial pressures we're receiving. That may not always be the case in the future. So we may have future pressures that make it more difficult today, or more difficult in the future than even what it is today to come to what we believe is a very fair and acceptable outcome. And I do recognize that there's many times in the last 10 years or so when we actually come in with very modest increases. I think there's 3 instances where we had no increase. And perhaps that was ideal at the time, but in some cases, I guess that put a little bit more pressure on where we're at today. But I think overall, it's a great outcome. And to echo what was been already mentioned, great work by staff behind the scenes, because we simply provide direction here. Staff go back and put a lot of work and effort into trying to find the method to get to where we ended up today. So thanks to the great work that they've all contributed. So may I have the third reading, Councillor Brennan, please.
Yes, moved by myself, second by Councilor Robinson, that a bylaw to adopt estimates of the sums required for municipal purposes for the year 2025 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 106/06/2025.
Thank you. It is moved by Councillor Brennan and seconded by Councillor Robinson that a bylaw to adopt estimates of the sums required for municipal purposes for the year 2025 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 106/06/2025. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you.
Good. Your worship.
Yes.
So just to give an explanation of why we're doing the third reading tonight, because traditionally we would wait 2 weeks for sort of a cooling off period. It'd be 2 weeks, do first and second, then do third in 2 weeks. But tonight we're going to do the third reading tonight in order for staff to go ahead and implement things in light of any potential tariffs for purchases and that sort of thing that may come down the tube. And I'd also ask that, as tradition would dictate, that we have a recorded vote on our budget this year.
So are we already voted?
Okay.
But appreciate the
No
comments.
recorded vote.
Appreciate the comments. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Any inquiries or announcements? Councillor McGuire.
All right, so to get to our trivia, there's no real inquiries or announcements. The town was incorporated as a village in the 1850s, and one of the first orders of business was to fortify the Beckwith Street Bridge. And they did such a good job that it freed up money to allow for snow removal in this year. So what was the first year that the municipality provided snow removal on Beckwith Street?
Before my time.
It was before it was a town, that's the hint I'll give, but after it was a village.
1860. One.
Any other guesses?
3, 4.
Higher?
1878.
1875.
Okay. Wow.
So
150 years.
150 years of snow removal.
Did that interfere with the sleighs going up and down the street, I wonder? Or no salting and sanding, right?
Well, it was still mud and manure. They had the cobblestone crosswalks, but it would have been mud and manure in between, so hopefully it was frozen.
Did they dump it off the bridge into the water at that point too?
I would assume so.
No snowplows.
They didn't cover that in Smith Falls.
I'm not sure how they did that.
Your budget approval will allow us to retire some of that equipment.
Hey, we have no confirmatory bylaw this evening. A motion for adjournment is with Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Brennan, that this council adjourn its proceedings at 5:33 p.m. and stand so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Brennan. This council adjourns proceedings at 5:33 p.m. and stands so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council. All in favor? That's carried. Good night, everyone. We are adjourned.
Good night.
Where are we talking?
I was out by 17.